Catholics will likely have a new leader by the end of next week. The Vatican has announced that Cardinals will begin the Conclave on the 7th of May. They'll gather at the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican City to vote on the appointment of the next Pope. Linda Mnisi joins us live now from Rome with those details. Linda, just detail what happens from here. Ultimately, we still have those few days of mourning. Ultimately, the conclave getting ready to elect a new Pope.
Yeah, in fact, Arabile, Cardinals are preparing for that moment where they were called to the Sistine Chapel to begin the process of voting for a new Pope. Obviously, they're having quite a number of meetings to prepare for the build-up to that moment. A lot has been happening, and the decision was taken yesterday in yesterday's meeting, yesterday morning, in fact, where over 180 cardinals were present to take that decision. Some of the things that were discussed there were things around the qualities that a new pope should possess, and essentially what they then decided was that the date for the for the conclave will start, in fact, on the 7th of May. This, of course, is a big moment, shifts conversations on the ground. Mourners still trying to, get a grip of what has happened and to take in, the events of the past couple of days. But now it was a moment that brought joy. People were somewhat elated that a new pope would be elected. But I tell you what, there are some people that had come to Rome for a different program, the canonization of Carlo Acutis. You would have heard yesterday we spoke about the Jubilee for Adolescents, and among those who had come for that particular event were South African pilgrims, and they found themselves really at the center of history, Arabile, when their trip suddenly turned into a period of mourning, really, because Pope Francis, who was meant to be part of that particular ceremony, passed away, and that changed the entire thing. I'm joined by those South African pilgrims right now who are flying the South African flag very high here in Rome. Michael, thank you so much for your time. So you're the tour guide, right? And of course, you had planned your trip to Rome. Talk to us about what you had in mind. Obviously, it was a big event, the canonization of Carlo Acutis, but also the Jubilee of Adolescents. Talk to me about what you had planned.
So essentially what we had planned was, as you mentioned, the canonization for Carlo Acutis, and we had that planned for a few months now, and when everything was going to plan, and then suddenly our plans changed dramatically, of course, with Pope Francis's passing. And, at first there's disappointment, and you're quite shocked, of course. That's the initial feeling that you get. Shocked, and then sadness, but also you think, when does this ever happen? When do you get to be part of it? And you consider it, you see it from another different angle, a different point of view. That, wow, we now get to witness something that not a lot of people get to witness even in their lifetime. And we, just by chance, happen to be here when this is all happening, when history is actually happening. And it's amazing. It's completely amazing. Never in our wildest dreams we thought we could be a part of this.
Yeah. Talk to me about, what the plan was in terms of the canonization itself. What did you want teenagers to get from that?
Just to be inspired by Carlo, Blessed Carlo, and what he stood for with regards to the Catholic faith, and the way that he spread the word of the gospel to everyone, and how that also would have resonated with teenagers, because, of course, in this modern world, many teenagers stray from the faith, and stray from the Catholic faith, and what Carlo represented is still strong, still very strong, and especially for someone who as young as he was, to still have such strong love for his religion and his community and the Catholic faith as a whole, that it should inspire teenagers. And we actually saw it here. There were so many teenagers obviously coming for the canonization, but we also had a very nice mass for him as well. And there were so many, you could see just how inspired they were, and also the disappointment that they weren't going to be able to see the canonization. Yeah. And you could tell it was a little bit upsetting for them completely, but they still were part of something as well. And Carlo was still there for them.
Yeah. All right. I want to bring you in to this conversation. When we were talking earlier, you seem to be the one person that brought the vibe for all the teenagers, right? But having to switch from the excitement of the canonization to now being in mourning, really, and having to now start preparing to go and taking people and those teenagers to see and view the body of the Pope. Talk to me about that shift in the excitement between, now we must be sad, the Pope has passed.
Even before the shift, mine is very funny. I was invited to be part of this pilgrimage months ago, and I refused. I said no, because I thought I was going to be busy with work. But as it drew closer, I then contacted Mike and said, Mike, do you have a space for somebody with a Schengen visa? And he asked, who is that? Because I think it's you. And I said, yeah. Actually, the decision to come here for me was taken around the 18th of March. Yeah. And then I was coming for canonization, because it's something that I have not witnessed before. But I also wanted to be here, given that myself I've got children who could be inspired by the canonization of their peer. And then on Monday, the 21st, we get the news. The Pope is no more. Disappointed, settled, shock and all of that. And I didn't know what was next. But because I trust Mike and them, I knew that it would still come. And then when we got here, we were excited that we arrived in Rome. Our minds were still thinking about canonization. But the minute we got an opportunity to enter the basilica, to view the body, everything changed. There were thousands of people in the basilica, and you could hear a nail dropping on the floor, the way it was so silent. And that's when it started to sink in our minds that the big man is gone. Yes. Yeah. So that's how it happened, for at least for me. Yes.
And talk to me, you described the atmosphere in the basilica, but obviously, there was a lot going on. Security directing people. What was going through your mind at the time? I mean, you were hoping to see the Pope at the canonization, but now you're seeing his body lying in state.
Yes. It's a very sad thing, I must say, to think that I've met Pope before, at least 2 times, but I thought this would be the 3rd chance to see him, especially after he has just recovered, as we're made to believe on that Easter weekend. And now I'm here, the man is no more. But anyway, we believe that he's with his Creator now. At least that comforts us.
Yeah. And we've run out of time. Just quickly, the conclave is coming. I think from a South African point of view, what are your expectations?
My expectation is that every Catholic prays that the conclave elects the right man for the job.
And yours?
Also the same. I don't mind who is there, as long as they continue Pope Francis' work and his legacy, and just keep bringing us all together.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. These are South African pilgrims, Arabile, who came to Rome for the canonization of Carlo Acutis. He was a teenager when he passed away back in 2006, dying of leukemia. And he was going to be made a saint on the same weekend that Pope Francis passed away. And a number of teenagers from all across, across all walks of life, really, came to Rome for this special event, which had to be put on pause because obviously the Pope had passed away. The shift from being in a celebratory mood to now starting the process of mourning, it was kind of very difficult for them, as they describe it, that it was a difficult moment. But of course, they continued to raise the flag, the South African flag, high. They were telling me earlier on that when they arrived at the funeral service, at the Mass, they were standing a bit far from where we were, but, people drew closer to them because of the South African flag that they kept on flying. And of course, obviously, everywhere around the world, South Africans are known to be jovial people and peace-loving people. So obviously, masses would be drawn to them.
A truly fascinating story, Linda. Thank you so much for bringing us that one as well. Then certainly some interesting trinkets as well coming out of this as we continue to really just watch on as the world elects a new pope.